You've heard it before. Blue zones prove plant-based diets work. But what if those long lives come with hidden costs, like muscle loss, infertility, and silent metabolic dysfunction? Today, we're unpacking the illusion of plant-based health. Hi everyone, my name's Marc Bates. I'm a metabolic health coach, and this is part of my question and answer series. Why some plant-based populations seem healthy, but aren't. Okay, let's go to the question. You've built a compelling case that our current dietary crisis stems from an evolutionary mismatch that began with megafauna extinction. But here's what I'm curious about. If we accept that humans are facultative carnivores who thrived as fat hunters, how do we explain the apparent success of some plant-based populations today? Are there genetic adaptations that allow certain groups to handle plant foods better? Or is this success masking underlying metabolic dysfunction that we're not measuring properly? Well, yeah, this is a very crucial and a nuanced question, so it's good. Because on the surface it looks like a paradox. If humans evolved as fat-adapted facultative carnivores, how do we explain the apparent health and longevity of certain high-carb, plant-leaning populations, like the Okinawans, Seventh-day Adventists, traditional Indian vegetarians, and blue zone communities, for example, the Nicoya and the Akaria. Let's address this with both evolutionary insight and modern scrutiny. Okay? So, we start with, are these populations truly surviving, thriving, or just surviving? Well, many of the so-called successful plant-leaning populations are under caloric distress, i.e., for example, they're in rural agrarian societies, so they're not getting enough nutrition. Extremely low in ultra-processed food, which may be actually very good for them, okay? High in movement, community, and purpose, which reduces their stress quite a bit. So when you're eating some sweet potatoes and walking 6 miles a day, your body can buffer a great deal. But they often show signs of nutrient deficiencies, especially in things like B12, DHA, iron, and zinc. Their health is measured by longevity, not necessarily by metabolic resilience or vitality. And many blue zones still consume animal foods in small but consistent amounts, especially eggs, dairy, fish, and pork fat, especially the Acaria and Sardinians, for example. So the plant-based success narrative may be overstated in its conclusions, incomplete in its metrics, and masked by other protective lifestyle factors. Okay? So, have some populations genetically adapted to plant-based diets? Well, the short answer is yes, but not completely, and not without trade-offs. So some known plant food adaptations. Amylase gene copy number 1, AMY1. Higher populations with long histories of starch consumption, for example, the Japanese and Europeans. It does improve digestion of cooked starches. FADS1 and 2 gene variants. Some populations better convert ALA, the plant version of omega-3, to EPA and DHA, which is the animal version of omega-3. Still, this conversion remains inadequate compared to direct animal sources. Lactase persistence. A genetic adaptation to dairy consumption, not plants, but it shows how quickly humans can adapt under strong selection. Because dairy is not one of the things we normally should be eating. Okay? But these adaptations are partial. No known group can efficiently synthesize vitamin B12. No full genetic compensation for missing K2, which is MK4, DHA, retinol, or heme iron. The modern Indian vegetarians with thousands of years of tradition have high rates of type 2 diabetes, anemia, infertility, despite being lean. Okay? And adaptation has occurred, yes, but it's often metabolic duct tape, not biological redesign. Okay, so is modern measurement masking dysfunction? And here's why, absolutely, that's correct. We define health narrowly, based on BMI, cholesterol, and blood pressure, ignoring insulin resistance, triglyceride HDL ratio, visceral fat, and inflammatory markers. Example, the healthy low-fat eater, right? Could be normal weight, have a plant-based diet, but with low HDL, high triglycerides, elevated insulin, low testosterone or infertility, and cognitive decline or mood instability. This metabolic dysfunction can go undetected for years in clinical practice, especially if you're not obese. Okay, how about some ancestral baselines that still matter? Even if a few lineages adapted partially to plant foods, these were fallback adaptations, not optimal defaults. They came at a cost: shorter stature, weaker bones, lower fertility. And no group has fully adapted to modern ultra-processed foods, grains plus seed oils plus sugar. So maybe not having access to ultra-processed food is actually good for some of these blue zones. All right, final summary here. Can some populations do okay on plant-based diet? And the answer is yes, temporarily, especially with cultural practices and movement. Are there genetic adaptations? Of course, some, but they are partial and incomplete. Are these people thriving? In some ways, yes, but often with hidden costs. Are modern dietary guidelines modeled after these successes? Unfortunately, the answer is yes, but stripped of the protective context. For example, lots of movement, low stress, no junk food. Is this evidence against our carnivore roots? Absolutely no. It's evidence of short-term human flexibility, not long-term metabolic optimization. So, as described in the book, The Ancestral Diet Revolution, while humans can survive on many diets, when it comes to thriving, especially in the modern food environment, animal-based, fat-centered nutrition still aligns best with our evolutionary blueprint. Gotta keep that in mind. Okay, so here's the bottom line. Humans can survive on many diets, but when it comes to thriving, especially in the modern food environment, animal-based, fat-centered nutrition still aligns best with our evolutionary blueprint. Okay? So just keep that in mind. And finally, I want to thank you all for watching. You got this far. Appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the appropriate section. If there's something you want me to cover, this is a community we're building. I want to answer your questions. I want to make sure everyone's learning as much as you can. Please let me know what you want me to work on. All right? And as always, if you haven't done so, please like, share, and subscribe to this video with someone who might need it. It helps the channel, and you will be helping a lot of other people. Thank you.